I thought my first internship would be the start of my dream career, but I never expected my mentor to try and steal everything I worked for. This is the story of betrayal, strategy, and the fire that turned me into someone unbreakable. I never thought my first internship would teach me lessons I'll carry for a lifetime. I arrived at the office full of dreams, eager to learn, eager to impress, and full of hope. Everyone told me to find a mentor, someone experienced, someone I could trust to guide me. And then I met him, my mentor. He was charming, confident, and seemed genuinely invested in my growth. At first, I felt lucky. I thought I had found someone who would help me navigate the complex world of corporate politics, someone who would share their wisdom without expecting anything in return. I trusted him with my ideas, my questions, my mistakes, and my successes. I shared my goals with him, the long nights I spent perfecting my presentations, the extra hours I dedicated to ensuring every detail was flawless. I thought I had someone in my corner, someone who would help me rise. But I was wrong. He wasn't just ambitious, he was manipulative, and I was naive. I began to notice subtle things, ideas I had shared in private meetings suddenly appearing in reports attributed to him, compliments directed at him for work I had poured my heart into, and a pattern of quiet dismissal whenever I suggested improvements in front of others. I tried to tell myself it was coincidence. I tried to brush it off. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. My stomach twisted every time I saw him take credit for something I had created. I started questioning myself, wondering if maybe I had imagined it, if maybe I was overreacting. But the uneasy feeling never went away. I worked late nights on that project, crafting every detail, every slide, every piece of code, sharing updates with him, seeking advice. I thought I was learning from him, but in reality, I was feeding him the roadmap to steal my work. Each morning, I walked into the office with a tight smile, masking my growing anger and frustration. I kept my voice calm, my words measured, all while silently analyzing him, noting his habits, his weaknesses, his arrogance. I watched how he celebrated small wins that weren't his, how he subtly undermined others while elevating himself. And I realized something. I couldn't let him break me. I wouldn't let him rewrite my story. The day came when he presented my project to the senior executives, claiming it as his own. I sat in the room, stunned, my heart racing, my mouth dry, as applause rang for the man who took credit for everything I had poured my soul into. I wanted to speak, to scream, to defend myself, but the room didn't hear me, the board didn't see me, and suddenly I realized I was invisible. Everyone praised him, congratulated him, and left me alone with the humiliation. I walked back to my desk, pretending everything was fine, pretending I didn't notice the whispers, pretending I didn't want to collapse in that moment, but deep inside I felt something ignite. I realized that if I wanted justice, I couldn't wait for anyone to give it to me. I couldn't rely on HR, I couldn't rely on my colleagues, I had to rely on myself. That night, in my tiny apartment, I sat at my desk under the harsh glow of a single lamp, reviewing every email, every file, every draft I had sent to him. I traced every conversation, every idea, every timestamp. Slowly, a plan began to form. I didn't need to confront him immediately. I didn't need to shout. I needed strategy. I needed patience. I needed proof. I created a folder labeled Everything, where I saved all the evidence of his theft, his manipulations, and his unethical behavior. I even discovered mistakes he had made in confidential reports, things no one else had noticed, errors that could destroy his credibility if exposed. I began to realize something crucial. Knowledge was power, and timing was everything. I couldn't rush it. I couldn't let my emotions betray me. I had to act like a ghost, invisible yet ever present, watching, learning, waiting. Each night, I imagined the moment the truth would finally surface, and it gave me a strange sense of calm. The next step was careful. I reached out to trusted colleagues who had quietly suffered from his arrogance and manipulation. I shared what I had found without revealing my ultimate plan. They agreed to support me, to provide additional documentation, and to help me navigate the corporate maze. Weeks passed as I quietly collected more evidence. I watched him, learning his patterns, predicting his next moves, understanding how he controlled perception and narrative. I observed how he flattered the executives, how he manipulated his peers, how he twisted small mistakes into opportunities to appear competent. And I learned from it. I studied his strategies so I could anticipate him, so I could stay one step ahead. I kept working on my own projects, maintaining a calm exterior, laughing with him in meetings, contributing in ways that seemed ordinary, all while preparing for the moment when truth would finally surface. I watched, I waited, I calculated. I refined my presentation, rehearsed my statements, and visualized the board's reactions. I imagined him stumbling, trying to explain, realizing the walls were closing in. And each day, my confidence grew. Then, the opportunity appeared. A new board review meeting was scheduled, and I submitted a comprehensive report outlining not only the projects he claimed as his own, but also the mismanagement and unethical practices he had engaged in. Alongside the report, I included emails, timestamps, documents, and records that could not be ignored. I remember sitting in the corner of the conference room that day, heart pounding, palms slightly sweaty, listening to the murmurs as the board began to read. It felt surreal, the quiet power of evidence in action. When the board read it, chaos ensued. My mentor, the man everyone thought was flawless, was suddenly cornered. He tried to explain, to justify, to twist the narrative, but the evidence was undeniable. My colleagues who had once doubted me now looked at me with respect, admiration, and in some cases, awe. I had not only protected myself but had exposed the truth, restored integrity to the project, and reclaimed my voice. In the weeks following, investigations were conducted, actions were taken, and I was promoted, not because I demanded it, but because justice had a way of recognizing the right person. I walked into my new role with confidence, aware that I had grown stronger through betrayal. I had learned that trust is precious, but so is vigilance. That mentorship can be a gift, or it can be a trap. That cleverness, patience, and unwavering determination can overcome manipulation. Looking back, I don't regret anything. The late nights, the fear, the anxiety, they all shaped me into someone unbreakable. And now, when I mentor someone else, I do so with honesty, with integrity, and with awareness. I know the stakes, I know the risks, and I know how to guide without losing sight of truth. If you are listening to my story, know this: betrayal may hurt, it may shock, it may make you question everything, but it also has the power to reveal your strength, to sharpen your strategy, and to ignite a fire within you that no one can extinguish. I rose because I refused to let someone else define my value. I rose because I trusted myself more than anyone else. I rose because justice isn't given, it's claimed. And I want you to remember, if you ever face someone who tries to take what is yours, who pretends to guide you while plotting against you, you are not powerless. Observe, plan, execute, and rise. I didn't just survive betrayal. I rose above it, claimed my power, and proved that no one can define my worth but me. If you ever face someone who tries to steal your dreams, remember this: plan, execute, rise, and be unbreakable.